welcome to Slick Willy Flying. What we're going to do today is my version of a Johnson spoon. So hope you have your cocktail and let's jump in on it. If you grew up like I did, where I started learning to fish in the 70s, but I really cut my teeth in the 80s, a Johnson spoon was, I can't imagine growing up in Florida chasing inshore fish and not having a Johnson spoon. So now that I'm heavy into fly fishing, I really wanted to make a version of something similar like a Johnson spoon. I think I've done it. And I have some water testing videos that I'm going to include in this video so you can see the action is just awesome. So for materials, what am I using? I'm using a 1mm silicone mat that I stamped my my spoons out of, and I bought that online like Amazon. I'm using this WTP decorator tape, which I picked up at Captain Harry's in Miami last time I was in Miami, and I just cut it into pieces that are the right size. I'm using these ancient I don't think they make these anymore. It's a 1/0 black hook that looks just like this. It's a Mustad hook, and just a pack of hooks that I have available to me, and they're actually called Universal Vice, made in Norway, and I don't think they've made these in a very long time. They're called Salmon hooks, but they're fine for this application. So here it is. This is that hook with a totally ready. So what I do is I went down to C&R Metals in Miami. My friends in C&R Metals made these two stamps for me, and they're basically two sizes. And for the video today, I'm going to use the bigger size. I've already pre-stamped, so I've already got a couple of pieces cut and ready to go, but that's pretty self-explanatory. 1 inch, hit it, stamp it, there you go. So now what I'm going to do is I've already pre-cut an appropriate size mirror decorator tape. So I'm just going to peel the tape off the backing. I'm going to put a little bit of super glue. This has a pretty good glue, but I just, it's salt water where I'm intending to use this, and the salt water is so tough that I think that I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit extra super glue on this thing. So I just put some super glue right on it. Now I'm going to go ahead and just press that right on the back of the tape. And give that a second to dry. So let me talk real quick about C&R Metals while this dries for a second. So they're a custom metal cutting shop, plasma cutting, laser cutting, all that kind of good stuff. I know that they do all kind of unique work. They've done work for everyone. I'm sure the University of Miami, the Miami Heat, local hospitals. They've done a lot of work for artists and whatnot. They're just a great shop. They're located on the Miami River, just west of 27th Avenue, like on 29th or so. But super easy to get to, super accessible, and just really nice people, great people. So once that dries, I just trim it. You see the shape. Take a pair of scissors, trim it up. This is the hardest part of the whole fly. This is such an easy fly. And I'll tell you, it took a little while before I got that balance of weight that I was looking for. I wanted it to sink, but I didn't want it to drop like a rock. And then I needed it to to have enough weight so that it wouldn't rise when I started retrieving it. And I think that the combination of this fly and then a barrel swivel in the front works perfect. It's like the perfect amount of weight. So there's one side. So now what I'm going to do is put super glue on this side. Well, first I'm going to peel the reflective tape off, get this ready. There's very little time on the vise with this fly. This is one having fingernails. This is nice, I don't have any fingernails. Hard for me to start this sometimes. I get it. And again, I'm going to go ahead and put some super glue on. Smear it nicely over all the edges. If I had to not have a little super glue, it would definitely be on the, oh, can't believe I did that. It would definitely be on the short narrow side. Okay. All right, we'll give that a second to dry. And while that dries, I'm going to show you my last tool. This is a champagne cork that I cut this notch into it. And I use this notch to make the shape of the spoon. And you'll see what I mean in a second. But works great. It's such a simple little thing. I was having trouble figuring out how to make the shape that I wanted. So now we're going to trim up the opposite side. Alright, so we're going to go to the vise now. Alright, so now we're going to go to the vise. So again, it's that 1/0 hook that I described earlier. I'm going to start a little bit of yellow thread. $140 denier ultra in yellow. That's plenty right there. Now when I attach this, I want to attach it, but I don't really want to, I don't want to over flex this just now because it could make it start to, I don't want the mirror flash to come off. All we're trying to do is capture the silicone to the hook. So all I'm doing is capturing the very end of the silicone to the hook. just like that. Whip finish. I'm gonna definitely put a weak guard on this fly, but we'll put the thread back on. Because now we're gonna UV resin the hook to the spoon body. So I get this out of my way. I bring my little homemade cork. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little UV resin on. You gotta be a little gentle here, a little careful. You wanna make sure that the hook is centered and straight. Remember, you're not in any rush when you're working with this resin. I think it's easy to put too much of a bend in. So once you zap this, it really isn't gonna move. That's really where it's gonna be. So think about where you are. Think about how much of a bend you have created. Think about how much of a curl you've created, because that really will determine the amount of action you have. And once you zap it, it's not really going to go anywhere. That's pretty much it. I'm going to give it a little bit more resin. I'm going to go over the top of everything. And now this hook's not going to move. That's it. This guy is on there. And there it is. Beautiful. So now I could put it back in the vise. I'll just zap it a little more. I want to put this in my windowsill, like every other fly I use resin with. I'm going to go ahead and put this in my windowsill and let it cure really good all day tomorrow. But I'm going to go ahead and put it back in my vise now. And I'm going to put a weak guard on it. You know, if you wanted to give it a little bit more shape, you could. I could show you. All you have to do, if you wanted to give it a little bit more of a curl, is put a little bit more UV resin on. Just like that. Look at that, more curl. It's crazy. It's crazy how awesome this works. But right now, what I want to do is I want to put a little weed guard on. So I'm going to get a little piece of hard mono. So mono is actually pretty hard, so I use my wire cutters to cut it. And I put a flat spot in it, like you've seen me do plenty of times. And I give it that little bend. So it starts to go the correct way, the way I want it to go. Start my thread again. You know, if I really wanted these to look beautiful, I would glue the tape on the day before and let them really cure really well, and then come back and do all this other work. Couple of loose turns, making sure that I'm centered. I am. I could crank hard on that. This actually helps me make a really rock hard head too. One more whip finish. Now I'm going to get my UV resin back out. Got a couple loose hairs there, a couple loose fibers. And now I have basically a Johnson spoon. I love the Johnson spoon. When I was a kid, man, did we catch a lot of fish on a Johnson spoon. I mean, it was just a great fly. I don't know anyone of my generation that didn't catch a lot of fish on a Johnson spoon. That just looks awesome. So, you know, I can't be as perfect as a machine that stamps metal. So each and every one of these flies are going to have a little bit different action. I'm going to put obviously a barrel swivel, and that's going to give it just a little bit more weight. It's going to give it just the weight that it needs, because this fly sinks, but it doesn't sink like a stone. It's awesome. You'll see it in the water test. And it definitely swims good with a lot of action. But if you retrieve it really quickly, it wants to ride up. So the swivel is going to help it keep wanting to dig down. So it's going to be a little trial and error with the exact size of the swivel. But it's awesome. I love it. So now the last step is to trim the weed guard. And I want to trim it a hair longer than the hook, because I can always trim it again. Rather trim it long than short. That came out perfect. And there it is. One spoon fly. Can't call it a Johnson. It's not a Johnson, but it definitely is a spoon fly. Here's another one without the weed guard. And somewhere here I have one with a weed guard. This is the one that was actually used. This is the actual fly that was used in the water test. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Instagram, Slick Willie's on Instagram. And I'll put the information to C&R Metals in the information below. And good luck catching. See you on the next video with a cocktail.